Okay, so now that we are done with our base model, let's proceed with our next phase. The first phase was blocking, so the next phase is deblocking. In deblocking models, you just add edges, polygons, or faces to refine the base form. So that means we will further refine it. So add some more of these edges and polygons, and then model the initial details such as the holes, the panels that are located within the initial objects. So let's start with that. So first, let me prepare the scene. I'll just go to File, and I'll save as. This is going to be plate number 2. So let me just overwrite that. Yes. So after I save this, so plate number 1 is already a backup, an external file backup. Now I have a plate number 2. Next, what I'll do next is I will I will lay out this view. I will lay it out into 2 view plane only. So I will go here. So from 4 views, I will switch to 2 views there. Here I will just press F3, F4 for solid faces view, and then I will press G to turn off the grid. I will press F for the front view and press Z for zoom extents. On the other side, again, I will right click to activate it, press G to turn off the grid, F3 and 4 for solid and faces view, and I'll press P for perspective, and then press Z for zoom extents, and then Alt middle mouse drag so that I can view rotate. Okay, so now this is my perspective view, and this is going to be my orthographic view or the front view. The next thing is I will select all of my base mesh. So this is my base block object. So what I'll do here is I'll create a an object backup within the scene. So this is an in-file backup. I'll just go to my group and then group. So I have selected it. I am grouping it now. I'm naming it SG or shotgun 01. So that's the first level of shotgun. I'll use the move tool to push it outside of the modeling area there, and then I will hold shift and drag and create a working object. So this means this one, the first one here, that's going to be my backup, and this new object here, this is going to be my working object, or this is where I will be modeling. Then I will just type in here 0 on the x-axis so that it goes to the center of the reference, and I will go to my groups and ungroup. So now I have them. Saving my work, I'll select this, right click it, hide selection. So now I've hidden it. So now I'm ready to start modeling. Okay, so let's say first I will deblock this portion of the gun, right? I'll select this, deselect that by pressing Alt, and then right click, hide the selection. Next thing is I'll select this object, and then here I'll just switch to the right side view. I can press Alt X so I can see through it by X-ray mode, Alt W to maximize the view, and then let's start reforming this by adding polygons. I'll go here at the modifier list, and then I'll type in edit, and then I'll choose edit poly. Edit poly will allow me, right, so like a layer stack, the edit poly will allow me to select the vertices here, and I can select the vertices of the object, and then I can now drag or move them to fit the reference, right? So next thing I'll do is I'll just select these vertices, drag it here, and then I'll select these vertices, I'll raise it up, and then I'll just drag it here, there it is. After I've done that, the next thing I'll do is I'll press Q for selection. I'll switch to number 2 or the edges, and then I will just select these, and then I will just do a right click, and then I'll choose the connect, but I will go for connect settings, right? Not connect word, I'll connect settings, and then from here I can choose and set my connections. Let's say I will need 1 for now. I'll press check to apply, and then I'll press 1 for vertex. Then I'll select this vertex from the new connection. I'll press W, and then I'll drag it. So there, so far the side view reference has been followed. Okay, but let's go to the front view, pressing F. So in the front view, there are things that we still need to do. I'll select the top vertices. No, it needs to be widened, so I select the top. I press R for scale so that I can move horizontally like this. Right? After that, I will select the bottom, and I will slightly there. After that, I will go back to edge selection by pressing number 2. That's the edge selection shortcut. And then I'll select all of these horizontal edges because I need to add vertices here. So I'll select that. I'll just right click once more, do the connect settings. This time I will need 2 connections, press check. After those 2 connections, I'll press 1 for vertex selection, then I'll choose W for move. I'll hold Alt and deselect the middle, and then I'll start raising it up like this, and then I'll press R. I'll scale it up a bit there. I'll press W, dragging it a bit. So there it is. So it is starting to follow the reference. Yes, right? And then I'll go to my side view and look at it. There. Right side view, let's check. So far it's following up or lining up well. So if that is okay, now I can start Alt X, and I can start modeling this time the cylinder or the barrels. So I will select this, right click, hide selection. In the object list here, I can see barrel 1 and 3. Though these are the barrels. So what I will do is I'll select one of them first, and then I will try to do some adjustments before I proceed. For example, there are edges here that I don't need, so I will just type in here, for example, in the height segments, I'll reduce that to 1. So that is fine. In the cap segments, as you can see, this is blank. I want at least 2 cap segments. There. So now I have that. I also have the other one. Okay. So with that done, I don't need to repeat that on the other side. So what I'll do is I'll just select this and delete it. And then I'll select this once more. Then I will add in the modifier list, I'll choose edit poly, and in the edit poly I will select this time the polygon selections. So this will allow me to select polygons. I'll press Ctrl 8 to select all of the polygons that I have here, and then I'll press Alt and deselect these polygons that I don't need. I will also press Alt and click one of these to deselect them, and then still pressing Alt, I'll double click the next, so the loop gets deselected. I'll do the same here. I'll select this one, and then I'll select double click, not selected anymore. I'll press delete, so now I have that hole there. Now I'll press number 3 so that I can select the border. The border is an edge with a hole. Okay, or vice versa, it is the edge of the hole. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll press Ctrl A, and then it will select all of the edges that are with hole. Ctrl A, as you can see here, there it is. Next is I will switch to the scale tool. I will switch to the scale tool, and in this scale tool, let's say here, in this scale tool here, I'll just go on to this side triangle here, and then I'll just drag that so that it becomes a rim lining. Right? Alt W here, there it is. And then while I still have those borders selected, I'll press Q for selection, and then I'll go down here in the edit borders. You have a bridge button there, just click it and it bridges the whole polygon. Okay, the next thing is I will look at the right side view here, right side view. So this portion here is getting a little larger compared to this portion here. So this tail end here should be larger. So what I'll do is I'll switch to the vertex selection, and then I'll select that vertices at the back, and then I'll press R, and then here sorry, on this side only, there, on this side only of the X and the Y, carefully on the side of the X and the Y only, I will start to drag so that in the front view, Shift Z here, in the front view by pressing F, so you could actually see what's going to happen if I drag it along here, there. So it's going to there. So it needs to be larger, and there it is. Looking at the right side view, yeah, it follows. So the next thing is I'll turn off the polygon selection or edge selection, pressing F. So what I'll do is I'll just hold Shift and copy this onto the other side. But of course, I'll press check and copy. What will happen here is, as you can see, this is not at the center. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll select this, I'll double click the X-axis, copy that, I'll select this, and then I'll paste it in this X-axis, only keeping the negative one, enter, and there it is. Now they are almost like mirrored. Okay, I'm saving my work. So far that is what I need for the barrel. So I have the sorry, here the forehand. So that is done. The other two parts are also done. So let's have the other one, the chamber. Okay, so I'll select these. I click and hide the selection. So this time I'll use chamber. I'll press Alt X to see through it. And then I'll just choose the right side view here. There it is. And then what I'll do is, of course, I will get rid of some vertices that I don't need, or edges that I don't need. I'll just go to my modify panel, and then here I will just type in the height segments. I'll just choose 2. So there it is. Or I'll choose 3. There. So it is divided onto 3. Pagkatapos nun, after that, what I'll do next is I'll just add an edit poly here. Polygon or vertex selection. Now I'll select the vertices at the middle. I'll press R, and then I will scale it a little bit. there, press W, turn off for now. I'll drag this a bit there. Now I'll go back to the vertex selection. So the next thing is I will go here. Excuse me. I'll select the polygon here and select the face here. Also here. Then I'll press R for the scale tool. And then after I press the R for the scale tool, I can carefully look here, right? So if I'm going to scale along this axis, it will start to shrink down, or this is going to serve as the, what do you call that? The hard surface portion of the model. And then I'll press W, I'll turn it off, save the work. So because the next is right in this, after the chamber I will have another part there, the trigger housing, this one. Alt X, I'll select this, hide the selection there, here. So here what I will do is I'll just use my edit poly, and in the use of the edit poly I'll just choose the polygon selection, or here I'll choose the vertices. I'll select W and push it back. Carefully follow reference. Okay, so what will happen is for each time that there is a contour or a curve or an angle, I will stop the extrude or I will re-extrude. Okay, so what I'll do here is I'll choose the polygon selection. I'll select this face here, pressing Q there. Then I'll press the W for move tool. I will hold the shift so that it's going to be the shortcut for manual extrusion. Hold shift, I'll drag across here. There, that's for the angle. Hold shift, I'll drag across again. There, that's for another angle. Hold shift onto the other side. And then I'll hold shift a bit. Oops, sorry. Hold shift here for this angle up here. Hold shift here, and then one more here. Okay, so after an edge selection, after doing a polygon selection and extruding it, the next thing to do is use the vertices here and then reposition your vertex extrusions, or the vertices that have resulted from the extrusions. For example, here at the top, I need to drag down these edges here so that they can follow. This one I need to assist, pressing R and then scaling that one. Okay, W for move, and then I will now start selecting the bottom vertices, and I will also start to drag this down here, there. But the problem is this one, it's not following up. Okay, it's not moving or following up properly. So what I'll do is this. I'll just go under here, and then I'll go to polygon selection. I'll select this there, and then I'll just use W, shift click drag there, R scale, W. So now I have this. saving work. There. So what I will do next is this. It is showing, as per the reference, panels, panels, top view. It is showing here that there is a line protruding towards there. Okay, so that means this stock here is going to be divided with a steel line here. Alright, so what I'll do is this instead. Before I do any extrusions on this object or further editing, what I will do is go here and make sure there's no more selection. I'll go here at the top at modifier list, and then I'll type in another edit poly. So this is the new edit poly here. So what will happen is I'll switch to the edge tool. I'll select this edges here, the horizontal edges here. After I select the horizontal edges here, I'll right click, I'll do a connect setting, I'll choose 2 connections, I'll press check, Alt W, and then I'll see this. Okay. And then with that, I can select the polygon selection now, pressing Q. Okay, and then I'll select this. There. Now that I have that, so what I'll do next is I'll switch to the right side view, and as I switch to the right side view, I will also switch to the move tool, which is W, and then I will start holding shift and dragging this onto that. Pressing R, scale down a bit. Sorry, pressing E, rotate. Once more, R, here, W, drag down, R, scale, there, making it bigger for the view, and then I'll do it again. W for move tool, hold shift and drag. Pressing R, scale. W for move tool. Vertex 1. Sorry. For polygon selection, shift click drag. E, rotate. R, scaling it, and then W. For polygon selection, still selected at the front, then pressing 1 for vertices, dragging this and dragging this. Okay, so now I have this. So that's the steel between the wood as shown in the reference here. Okay, so now how do you precisely create the wood? Here. Okay. So this is what we will do. What I'll do is I'll go to polygon selection, right, and in this polygon selection I'll just select, let's say I'll select this portion, Q, this portion, this one. I'll select this polygon, So after I have selected this particular portion of the polygons here, I'll go down here and go to the edit geometry. And in the edit geometry, you will see there a detach option. So that means I'll detach this polygons here. I'll click that, but I can detach it as a clone. Okay, so I'll detach it as a separate object clone, right? Copy that. Then I'll turn off the selection, pressing 4. Now when I select this, W for move, now I have it. Okay, now that I have that. Next is, of course, I'll just do it on the other side. Right, polygon selection number 4. So I can just, let's say I can press Control A, do it faster, and then I can just hold out and deselect the rest, right? If I do that, so this is what's selected. And then from here I'll just do another detach, and then as a clone there. So now I have these objects here, they are detached. So anytime I can now do clone, which I will do. I will hold shift. There it is. Okay, leave it that. There. I'll do the same here, the other side. Hold shift, drag. Okay, check. Okay, so the next thing to do is let's combine these two. So remember, you cannot bridge this to solidify this part, no? If they are not like faces. So that means if this is black or negative, they should also be black and negative. So I'll select this. I'll go to polygon selection, Control E, polygon selection, and then you have your flip here. So now it just flips. Okay. So next is, again, I'll just select this other part. Right. I'll go to number 4, polygon selection, and then I'll just flip it, turn it on. Okay. Now I'll press number 2. I'll select these. Now the rule is these two must be combined first. So I'll select this one and this one. There. So I select the two of them there. Oops, here. Yeah. After I select that, oops, it's not yet combined together or attached. So I'll select this one, for example, select this object, and then if I scroll down to edit geometry, if you have the detach earlier, that means you can also do attach here, attach. So I will just click this one. Oops, sorry, undo this one. So now I have attached that one. Okay, I'll turn it off. I'll select the other attachment, and then I will just select and select this, and then I will just attach. Okay, so they're both flipping now. Number 2 for edges, or number 3 for polygon selection, 4. So this would mean that this is already what? It's already flipped. So I'll hold attach. Oops, sorry. I'll select this. I'll hold attach, select this. So there it is. It's added. So press 2 for edges. So now let's solidify this. I will press number 2 for edges, so I can select this loop of edges here. So I'll just double click, press Q, double click, and then double click. There. I'll do the same here. I can double click. Oops, sorry. I can double click. We can try and isolate this scene. And right, isolated the view. There. After I have that, all I need to do now is just go to my edit edges. Here, there's a bridge. There. Oops, what's happening? It's twisting. The bridge is twisting. Let's undo that. So what I'll do is I'll select 1 and 1 and have that bridge. Okay. So that will be a point of reference for this. Holding control, deselect this. Right, and then I'll double click this. I'll click this. I'll double click this. There. There. And then let's try bridging it again. It's not working, the bridge. Then I'll have to do it one by one. Select semicolon is the faster way. Bridge, semicolon, semicolon. There it is. Now that I have that, so what I'll do next is I'll de-isolate. Okay, so I'll do the same here onto this other side. I'll select these two, isolate. Okay, so now I'll just press 2 for edges. I can select these, select, and then bridge, doing the same at the other side. Bridge there, going here, select bridge, 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 select and bridge, select and bridge, bridge. Okay. There it is. There. Next is it's time to snap them into this place here. I'll just go to my let's say I'll choose 3 or 4. Let's choose number 4, polygon selection. Let me select all of these polygons here. Let's change that into rectangular. I'll select all of these polygons here, and I'll deselect the excess ones. Oops, out to deselect there. Okay, so I will turn on a snap here. I'll turn it on, and then I'll right click, clear all, so that I'll be the one to set the settings. I'll click the vertex selection, close this, and then I'll just drag W for move tool there, right? I can select, drag this, oops, sorry, here, so I can once you have that, let's say here, let's select all of them. So we'll check there. So I'll just snap it onto that corresponding vertex here, and there it is. So it is snapped. I'll do the same on the other side. I'll just select number 4, polygon selection. I'll select all of these, deselect that, pressing S. Now I can drag this, oops, turning on the snap. I'll snap it on to this corner here, there. So that's one use of the snap, saving work. F3, F4. So now I have an exact, oops, sorry, it's not properly positioned. Again, for polygon selection, F3, it was snapped too much. So I'll just drag this, oops, there's too much, there, and press 1, right? I can select all of those vertices here, and then I can just simply, there's the vertex, drag it, there it is, pressing 3, 4, turning it off, there. So now, so far, this is my object. This has been deboxed. So this is how you debox your object. Now I don't need this anymore, and I can delete that. So now this is my new stock. Copy. Alright. But there's still one thing to be done. So as you can see in the top view, there's an angle to be followed on this reference. So what I'll do is I'll switch to the W here. I'll select this, right? And then I'll go to my attach mode. I'll select the other one, W for move tool. So there it is. Those two are selected, or they are now one object. Now what I'll do is I'll go to my edges. I can select, double click this. I can select, double click this. There. So the loop is not coming. There, the loop now. The loop of edges. Then I'll just do my right click, do a connect, press check. There it is. So what will happen next here is I will just go to my vertices here. Okay, and this time I will choose the lasso freehand, and then I'll just select the corners here, but I will deselect all of these bottom ones there because I only need that side, the corners. Oops, there's still one selected here. There. So just making sure. And then after that, I will switch to Shift X, or you can find it here in the Edit Geometry. You can find Constraint here. I can press Shift X. If I press Shift X, it will constrain to the edges. So this would mean if I am going to move my objects, or if I'm going to move my vertices, they are all constrained to the edge, and they follow well. Oops, sorry. They can follow well. Oops. Here, they can follow well the reference. There. So it's tracing on, gliding on to the edge with that tool. Then I will just save work, turn off the constraint or Shift X. There, Alt X. So now this is how a D-box quality object is. That's how I do that. So the next thing is I will be modeling the detail, the functioning detail by a model trace. Okay, so now let's create the other portions here, the mechanical or the functioning parts. So first thing is I'll just switch this to the right side view. So there, and then I will go here and I'll try to get some objects that I can use for the modeling of this portion. So I can select this part of my model, say that, and then I can go to the Edit Poly, turn on the polygon selection. I'll select these portion here, for example, so that I can extract some polygons. So after I have selected that, what I can do is I can go down here at the Edit Geometry. In the Edit Geometry, I will choose Detach, and then I will set it as a clone. So it will become a separate object. So let me name this Trigger Guard. Say that, press OK. So now when I turn this off and then I go back and click that portion, so as you can see, if I use the move tool, now I have a separate polygon for that. Okay, so coming from here, I can now easily have a trace of this. Let's hide this part of the gun first, or of our object, this one. Let's hide it. This one oops, we select that, hide selection, so now I only have this. I'll turn on the vertex selection and I'll start to position the trace here, at least to follow the reference. Initially follow the reference here. Let's just have that, say here. I'm just evenly spacing it until there. That's going to be fine. Then the next thing I will do now is I will now switch to polygon selection, and after I switch to polygon selection there, I can shift click and drag and it starts to extrude onto that direction. Now I have more edges and polygons here, or edges and vertices. I press Alt X so that I can have these. I can see through the reference. Pressing Alt X here. There it is. Wait a bit. And then here, bringing it down. And then down. Here. So there it is. Here it is for now. So the next thing is, oops, there it is. So the next thing that I will do now is I'll go to the perspective view. So I will just bridge these portions. So bridge semicolon to repeat the last command. I'll just select those two edges, semicolon. That means repeat the bridge. So repeat bridge, press Q. Since I have this, now I'll switch to number 4 for polygon selection. Now I can select the polygon. I'll deselect this one. Oops, deselect by Alt. Then W. I can start shift clicking and drag, pressing 1. So this is going to be a repetitive step, right? So this is how the flow is going to be. Number 4, polygon selection. So I still have that same polygon selected. After I have extruded by a shift click drag, I'll press 1 and then just move the polygons, and then I'll press 4 again for poly selection, press 1 for vertex selection, and reposition those vertices that I have created through the polygon. Now I'll just repeat 4, still with the same selected polygon, holding shift and drag, 1 for vertex selection, select the newly created vertices. So that's just repetitive. 4, here I can drag a bit more. Reference is straight, so I can just drag like that. 1, arrange it a bit. 4, start extruding again. There's a curvature here. And press E, rotate a bit. W, shift click drag. 1, drag down here and here. So next thing is I can press 4 and then I'll drag here. So you have 2 directions here. I can press 1. I'll just drag this down, going to that, and then I'll drag this down, going here. There. I'll press 4. So now I'll change the direction. So that means I can press here, there. That's going to be the next extrusion direction I will go to, and just repeat the process of selecting the polygon, shift click drag, extruding it, then switching to the vertex selection. I think I can extrude it up to here. Yeah, there. There. And then going back here, it's easy now. I can press 4, polygon selection, and then I'll select this too. And then let's just go for the bridge. Press Q. Check. There it is. Oops, I switched this. Okay. So there it is. That portion is whole now, or complete. I'll select this time this. portion here. There. So I'll just W, shift click drag, vertex, resize or move the vertices. 4, still with the same polygon selected. 1, then 4, polygon selection and drag. 1, 4, polygon selection and 1, vertex and drag. 4, polygon selection 1, 1 R W 4 R. So there. Shift click drag, shift click drag, R. There. Saving it. So that's almost done. This time for the trigger itself, I think I can select this portion for the trigger. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll just select the polygons, this part, W, and then I can go here in the edit geometry. Alright. No, there's no detach options in the edit geometry. Right, so what I'll do instead is I'll add an edit poly, so that in the edit poly, if I press 4, polygon selection, I select, and then there's the detach option there. I'll click that, so I'll detach it as a clone. Okay, press check. Now I have this one, and I can rename this. I'll just rename this as the trigger. This one, where is this? So this is the trigger guard. This is going to be the trigger. So what I'll do is I'll just R, resize it a little bit, W, position it, and start using the vertex selection to refit onto the reference. Okay. So here I can go back to the reference or to the object. So I need to press 2 for edge, and then I'll just bridge those edges so that I can create a new polygon and check. There it is. And then I'll just switch back for polygon selection, W. Again, I'll just repeat the steps earlier. This is there. There it is. And here. So here I can just resize or refit the would-be trigger portion. And then I can just R, rescale this a bit. There. Okay. Okay, so with this, saving the work. Now, as I bring out, where is this object? This is going to be my wood stock. There it is. And this is trigger housing. So now I have completed deboxing my mini shotgun project. Okay.